प्यारे प्रभु शुक्रिया, शुक्रिया आपका, प्यारे प्रभु शुक्रिया। मुझको जीवन दान दिया, अपना बना लिया।
शुक्रिया आपका, प्यारे प्रभु शुक्रिया।
भूल गए थे आपको कई जन्मों की उलझन में, ढूंढते थे आपको, पुकारते थे कण कण में। पिंजरे के पंछी को गगन में उड़ा दिया।
शुक्रिया आपका, प्यारे प्रभु शुक्रिया।
अब तो तुम समाए हो हर सांस में, दिल की धड़कन में। तन सेवा में है लगा, पर मन हर पल वतन में। आपकी मुरली ने प्रभु जादू चला दिया।
शुक्रिया आपका, प्यारे प्रभु शुक्रिया।
शुक्रिया आपका, प्यारे प्रभु शुक्रिया। मुझको जीवन दान दिया, अपना बना लिया।
शुक्रिया आपका, प्यारे प्रभु शुक्रिया।
Om Shanti, Sister Jayanti,
Om Shanti Arunabhen.
and welcome to you and welcome to everyone. And I just want to maybe give a little preamble today, Jayanti, about Brahma Baba giving respect to everyone. And there are stories of, in the week, Chakradhari Didi in Madhuban was sharing that Baba would give the cows different names, like the names of the Dadis. So one was called Kumarka, one was called Ishu. And Baba would just go like this to the cows and they would all come running to Baba. And then there's another story of a little boy. And he came with his parents to Madhuban and he fell in love with Baba. And then he didn't want to leave and they couldn't find him. And they found him behind the door, hiding behind the door of Baba's room. And then, he said, no, I don't want to leave Baba. And then there's the story of how the kings actually gave so much respect to Baba. And there was in Udaipur, the king of Udaipur held a court and Baba was invited. And he took Yashoda Mata and he took Brajendra Dadi. But the thing is that Yashoda Mata and Brajendra Dadi wanted to go to the temple first. And so then the king noticed that only Dada is sitting there. And he asked, where is the wife and the daughter-in-law? And somebody told him they've gone to the temple. So then he paused. I mean, he didn't start the court until they came and arrived, and then he started the court. And then there's another incident when Baba went to Kashmir. And when he went to Kashmir, anyway, there was an incident with the landlord where he had hired the house. So that it went to the court. And in those days in Kashmir, the court is held by the king. And so this was Dada Narayan sharing that as he and Dada walked into the court, then even the king stood up. And then the king realized, like, why is he standing up? But he was surprised, stunned at Brahma Baba's charisma. And then eventually he said, well, you will make the decision. He told Brahma Baba, you will decide. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's an interesting Murli today on self-respect. And I think we have a lot to churn and we look forward to hearing some of your thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you for those beautiful stories. Yes, Baba's personality was quite amazing, quite remarkable. And yes, the Murli is also very, very powerful. And Baba reminded us that God is seeing the ones who have self-respect through the whole cycle, who maintain that state of respect through the whole cycle. And Baba then went on to explain how even God is the one who's giving all of you so much respect, and so is the highest state of awareness that you can possibly have. God comes down from Paramdham every single day to greet you and love you and give his remembrances. He doesn't send them, but he comes himself to give it to you. And those who call themselves the dust at his feet, it's one of the songs that sometimes we hear, the film song in the Murli, that we hear the dust at your feet. And Baba says, those who consider themselves that, Baba has elevated them and made them the crown of his head. And so many different ways in which God himself is reminding us of our stage of self-respect. There was a very interesting sentence that made me pause. Baba said something like, these are not the exact words, but I'm paraphrasing. But Baba said, you have had respect through the whole cycle. And you also have to honor that respect that you have been given, respect the regard that you have been shown. And to me, what that meant was that, they're remembering me as that deity, and I'm seeing the deities being worshipped. They're remembering me as that Shakti. And I'm also seeing till today the worship of the Shaktis. And if I connect that with my own identity, then I have to honor that respect that the Bhagats are showing. And so to recognize my own state of self-respect and to honor that is really a very, very elevated method of making effort, and how the whole world gives respect to God. But that's because he has, first of all, given respect to everyone else. And so the beginning of the cycle is Sangam Yug, and God came and gave all of us so much respect. And so because of that, allowing us to become the masters of the world and recognizing that in us. And then, of course, Baba went through various different examples of following the Father, and how when there's self-respect, then it's very natural to give respect to all others and follow the Father. And sometimes we're told, follow that Father, the incorporeal one. But today we were being told, follow this Father, the corporeal one. and how when he saw children, he would remind them, do you remember you are the emperors of the world, the rulers of the globe? And just imagine a little child being told this and the intoxication and the joy that the child would feel. And Dadi Gulzar at one point had said that when Baba told us we were the benefactors for the world, and we nodded our heads, she was about 9 years old at that time, she said that I hadn't even seen a map of the world. I didn't know how big the world was. But here is Baba giving us that title and that honor. And we were so filled with intoxication that this is what Baba has told us. So a very lovely way to create that stage of self-value and self-esteem in children, which most parents don't understand today how to do that. They pamper their children, but they don't actually elevate their consciousness to that awareness, never mind being world emperors, but even being the children of God. Just imagine how wonderful that particular title is. And then to young people, Kumars and Kumaris, you are the ones who've managed to have purity. You are the ones who are greater than the Mahatmas. You are the ones who make the impossible become possible. And so wonderful the way Baba was uplifting all the Kumars and Kumaris and reminding them of their own state of value and allowing that self-esteem to emerge and be sustained. And then Baba talking about the elderly ones. And yes, they are my equals, but yes, they're the ones who are the embodiments of experience, and they are like me, full of that experience, and they can do so much also. And the women in bondage, they are number one in remembrance. In Sakar Murli, Baba remembered them today, but in the Avyakt Murli, Baba also remembered them. And so respect for absolutely every single individual, young or old, didn't matter, but Baba would see them with that vision, so that Baba's vision would create that elevated consciousness within them. And so Brahma Baba demonstrating how to give respect. The one who's been the master of the world calls himself the world's server and becomes a servant of the children, allowing them to have that state of respect. And not just for these children who recognize him, but also for those who others would say are your enemies. But Baba, always, always, even giving them respect. One is where I say, but if you give me respect, I'm going to give you respect back in return. But that's not giving, that's a bargain, that's business, it's barter, give and take. It's not giving. And if you want to be a devta, dene wala, the deity, the devta is the one who's able to give. And so giving that respect, then your own self-esteem becomes perfect and powerful and stable, and you don't fluctuate, you don't shake. So Baba reminding us not only of giving respect to those who defame you and those who may be your enemies, but also Baba saying, but everyone is part of that same tree, and you children are the trunk of the tree. God, of course, is the seed, and then Brahma Baba, the first leaf that emerged on that from that seed, but all of you are part of that trunk. And so all of you can say, yes, this is my creation, and the whole of the creation belongs to me. And so my love, my concern, my pure thought of giving all of them benefit emerges from this thought. They are my family. And then Baba said, when you're in front of Baba, you feel this intoxication and you make this promise, but have you actually used that promise to take benefit from it, or have you forgotten it? And so see what is the balance, how many promises you have made through the years, and how many have you been able to fulfill, how many have you benefited from? And you'll see that there's quite a difference. And so let me be able to put that balance straight and really take benefit from my promise. And not in this Murli, but in another one a while ago, Baba said, you forget your realizations and your promises. So at Amrit Vela, each day, emerge those promises you have made yesterday, emerge that pure thought of giving benefit for all, and see, am I really doing that? And so the Hindi words very often rhyme, and here also Vaida and Faida, my promise and the benefit that I've had, the profit that I've taken. And so in a very lovely way, Baba reminding us to check our promises and see how far we've got. And the one main thing, Baba's giving us such fortune, immense fortune, and all he's asking for is one thing in return. But as usual, in one word, Baba encompasses many, many different things. And that is sacrifice your body consciousness, sacrifice your ego, the consciousness of this identity. And yes, that one sacrifice is going to bring you the benefit of being worship worthy, of also being the emperors, the masters of the new world, so that through the whole cycle, you'll be able to experience respect, the sacrifice, the renunciation of one birth, and the rest of the kalpa, you will be recognized and worshipped. And Baba telling us a story of Brahma Baba, of course, always the first one. And so the first one who becomes the emperor of Satyug, then the first one who becomes the king who starts the worship of Narayan, the worship of Shiva first and later Narayan. And so number one in all ways, but definitely the one who's worship worthy in this sense. And so just to explore this idea of renunciation of body consciousness. And I see how, if you renounce something that is not of any value for you, and you get so much more in return, then what have I renounced? I haven't actually renounced anything. I've opened myself to receiving a huge, huge amount. I renounce body consciousness, and what I receive in return is love, is truth, is joy, is peace, is purity, renunciation. But it's no renunciation, because what I'm renouncing when I renounce body consciousness is my anger, my greed, my jealousy, my competition, my discontent. I'm renouncing all of that. And I'm receiving so very, very, very much in return. And so Baba was saying, this is the fortune you receive now. And just reflecting on that, the biggest fortune is to be able to know myself, to spend time going deeper and deeper inside. And yes, checking with the Murli, what has Baba told me about this? What more is it that I need to give attention to? What do I need to do? But I'm practicing it. I'm experimenting with it. And so that higher stage in which I'm totally aware of who I am as a child of God and what it is God wants me to do, and I take on that responsibility. And so there's only gain, there's no pain. Even though there's been renunciation, I've received something much, much better. And so I haven't renounced anything really. What I've renounced is then when I let go of body consciousness is all the negativity that was destroying my happiness. It was destroying me inside and I didn't even realize it. And so Baba was saying, that's the only sacrifice you have to make. But of course, renouncing body consciousness means I'm renouncing all the other 5 vices. And so to stay in that deepest consciousness of who I truly am and that role of being a child of God. No other consciousness of any other role, just I am a child of God. And this is the highest consciousness that one can ever, ever, ever have. And yes, that stage Baba was talking about later on with the group from Bihar, And Bihar is a state that's still quite impoverished. It's not got industry or anything. And it's a state that's been sort of left behind. Very, very simple lifestyle there. But these are the people who Baba is giving a huge amount of respect to. And so Baba's speaking like a full Murli to them. And then that's to one group. And then the second group is also some from Bihar and then others from Bengal. But again, it was a very practical demonstration of the regard that Baba gives everyone. And so on the Lokik side, people would say, you know, that state is a little bit still tribal, but Baba sees souls and the beautiful stars. And so Baba gives all his love, all his time, all his attention to uplifting them. But the essence of, it was a long passage, but the essence of that stayed with me, Dharma and Rajya. And so the power of righteousness, of religion, and the power of governance. And where today the world has become lame, because either you have the sages and saints and priests and pundits, or you have the people who are ruling the country or ruling the city, whichever it may be. But there's this imbalance. And as a result of that, then there's conflict. But the first imbalance starts in here, where I forget who I am. And so I move away from that Swadharma, from that eternal state of awareness of the self. I move into body consciousness. And so I lose my Dharma, peace. Peace is my religion. Peace is my way of life. Peace is the dharana that I have, the quality that I've imbibed, but it's so deep that it's actually natural. And so when that dharma is intact, I'm the self-sovereign. Om Shanti, and I'm here, I'm peaceful, and all my physical senses and all my inner faculties are all working together harmoniously. I lose my awareness of who I am. I forget soul consciousness. And what happens to my peace? It goes deep inside, hiding away somewhere, and I keep looking for it outside. And then at some point, Baba comes knocking on the door of my intellect and says, hey, wakey, wakey, come, it's time to get up. And I look inside and I see that peace is there. And so I discover, rediscover my treasure store, and again, claim back self-sovereignty. And when I do have self-sovereignty, then there's total contentment here and now. Whilst I don't have self-sovereignty, I'm empty inside. I'm not rich. I'm not fulfilled. And that emptiness is driving me crazy. Sometimes I pick up addictions. Sometimes lots of different things can go wrong with addictions. But also, sometimes it's just that inner state of struggle. I want to be peaceful, but I can't be peaceful. The vices are troubling me. My greed troubles me. My anger troubles me. All of these things are causing distress. And so when I listen to Baba's call, then I say, yes, I can feel the peace that lies within. And now I allow peace to rule my senses. I, the soul, in this peaceful condition, how do my eyes function? How do my ears function? I just go through each one of those organs so that now, in this final period, even without anybody else knowing, nobody knows what's going on in here. You're all watching television, 4 people, 5 people in the family. And you're sitting there with them to give them that company. Otherwise, they would be a little upset, maybe. So you're there with them. But what's going on in your mind? You're thinking about today's Murli. You're thinking about service plans. you're thinking about your love affair with God. You're thinking about things that are not on the screen out there. You're thinking about the things that are on the screen in here. And yes, that's definitely what Baba wants us to do, just to be able to focus inside and be in tune with him. We can't all go and stay in Madhuban, even though we'd love to. But right from Sakar days, Baba would say, the clouds have come to fill and they will go out and shower. But of course, now so much more benefit. Everything that's happening in Madhuban comes to us straight through. And so we can take benefit from it. So that stage of having self-sovereignty, mastery over my physical senses, and then mastery over my subtle organs inside. When I have this balance of being the master as well as being peaceful, Dharma and Raja together, you can see where this word Dharamraj comes from. Dharam, righteousness, Raja, the ruler who establishes righteousness within his kingdom. So in a big way where Baba says Rama is God, so Rama has come to establish the new kingdom. But at the other side, they talk about the King Rama being banished and then returning. And so yes, the king of the Silver Age is also somewhere within our midst and so has returned to Baba. So these are some of the things that stand out in my mind from the Murli, but very definitely one other thing that Baba was talking about, the whole idea of trusteeship, and of course, self-esteem, valuing the self, self-realization. So here also, again, that thread coming through, that in that state of self-esteem and value for the self, then you have a state of feeling very, very content. It's very easy to say, Baba, you've given me everything. I want nothing more. Everything I have is yours. And Baba says, child, everything I have is for you. And you say, but Baba, you've already given me so much. And Baba will say, okay, then you donate. Go and share with everyone. And so it keeps coming and you keep allowing it to flow through and it reaches many, many others. So beautiful idea of just being the Devta, the giver, just continually giving, but nothing is mine, but everything is yours. And God says, but whatever I have is for you also. So just giving up that consciousness of me and mine and transferring it and saying you and yours. So you are the one who's absolutely in the center of my heart, and everything that you have, you've already given me so much. And Baba's saying, well, there's plenty more. And so yes, share it with everyone, it won't run out, but also I'll continue to give you right till the moment it's time to go home. So keep taking, keep opening your apron wider and wider so that all the things that the ocean wants to give you are being filled. It was fascinating yesterday in the Sakar Murli, Baba saying that, how much do you want? Do you want just a little jar? Fine, you can take it. Do you want a few drops? Well, fine. Or do you want to swallow the ocean and make the ocean become dry? Baba's offering that also. So unlimited treasures and unlimited methods of maintaining that stage of soul consciousness and letting go of the consciousness of this. So those are the thoughts from yesterday's Murli.
Thank you so much, Jayanti-ben. Lovely to hear you as always. Jayanti-ben, there's been a question. Maybe we just clarify that. Is there a difference between regard and respect? In Hindi, there is Swaman and Saman.
Yeah, so the way I've understood the difference between Swaman and Saman is one is self-respect and the other is when you're giving respect to others. But this idea of respect and regard, these two words, and I was also reflecting on that, and I didn't take the time to look it up in a dictionary, but the feeling that it brings me is that I show respect to you in the way I deal with you. I've spoke about it. The way I look at you, the way I speak to you, the way I behave with you, all of that will be an indication of how much respect I have, and I'm ready to also give that to you. And all the stories about Brahma Baba, why even in Lokik life, he was able to give so much respect and receive so much respect, was because in Sangam Yug, that soul had done so much to totally erase body consciousness and be soul conscious and come to that. And I think regard is more an inner feeling that I have regard for you. And how do I show it? I show it when I give my respect to you. And so that's what it's saying to me. And there could be many interpretations, but when I was reflecting on that, this is what I felt.
Yes, and gentlemen, when I give regard, it says more about me than it does about the other person. This
Absolutely.
is what they also teach in Lokik management as well, you know, trying to have them give regard to each other at work. So
there's that lovely story that somebody asked Dadi, and she said to Dadi, she was pretty young, physically young and just a few years in Gyan, but Dadi, I don't feel anything of respect for this individual. I don't see anything of value in them. And Dadi's reply to them was, it's not whether they have any value or they don't. That's not your business. Your business is to develop that sanskar of being able to feel respect and give respect. And so when there's that internalization and it becomes your natural nature, then that's what you're going to give. Whether somebody deserves it or not is not for you to judge, but it automatically happens.
right, gentlemen. So this brings us to the point that we need to fill ourselves up. I mean, I feel like we need to clean up our mess because it's never about the other person, is it? It's always about us.
Right.
And so if I'm able to give that respect, then that means that I've got to fill myself up. So maybe we can just take up that angle for a moment. What are the steps I need to take to fill myself, or even to say undo what I have done so that doesn't get in the way? Or how should we approach this effort? What is your opinion?
I think the deeper I go within myself and the more I'm cleaning up all the things that I carry in the different layers within myself, the greater I'm able to appreciate who I am and the treasures that I carry. Give you a simple example. I know that I should be Om Shanti. I know that I should be peaceful, but what's coming in the way? It's my other sanskars, it's my habits, it's my nature. And so I get irritated, I get angry, all of these things start coming up. And so as I journey deeper and deeper within, and I practice soul consciousness, God consciousness, I'm cleaning out all the different layers. And of course, ego is the first one that started in the Copper Age because I forgot the soul, and so I became body conscious. And so body consciousness and ego, it's very, very deep. And so right until the very end, that's the last thing that you let go of. But the more I clean out everything else, the more I'm able to feel those original qualities of I, the eternal soul. And I'm able to appreciate what Baba's given to me. And so I'm able to value myself and maintain that inner dignity of who I am. Otherwise, I'm trying to have self-respect, and my mind is saying, but you did this, you shouldn't have done this, why did you do this? And so that chattering monkey that's going on is actually very honest with me. It doesn't have to pretend with me because I know who I am. And so when this chattering is going on inside of me, how can I feel that state of self-respect? But if I've been able to deal with that chatter, and I know that, yes, I'm not an angry person anymore. Maybe there are still times in which I get a little bit irritated, but with Baba's help, I'll deal with that too. But 90% of that maybe has gone, however much. And so to whatever extent I've been able to clean myself, as you said, yes, clean my own act, sort out what's going on in here, I can maintain my state of self-respect. I've shared the story of Dadi Prakashmani before, but her inner state of dignity and respect was such that even if somebody got angry with her and was really behaving what we would say badly, that person was revealing their sanskars. There was no shadow falling on Dadi. Dadi's stage was absolutely stable. She wasn't going to respond with anger to anger. She was responding through her natural dharma of peace and love. And she kept that stage. She could keep her dignity. And the person finished their tirade. She came to the next point on the agenda, and she goes back to that person. What do you think about this? How many of us would be able to do that? We'd say, oh, thank God he stopped, or she stopped, and let me find somebody else I can interact with now. But she very consciously went back to the same individual. What do you think about this? And the heat was gone by then. And so that person was actually a little bit embarrassed, but they then spoke very normally about whatever was the second point on the agenda. So you can't deal with somebody who's trying to take away your anger or your dignity with their anger. You maintain your dignity yourself and maintain that self-respect and value by staying in your own state of dharma, righteousness. Your love, your peace, your purity stays intact. They can't take it away from you. My dignity is in my own hands.
Right, gentlemen. And I think together with that, if we look at Brahma Baba, he had a very strong faith in God, which is why he was able to maintain his self-respect. And I'll give a couple of examples. Like, for example, when they were in Karachi and there was so much opposition and so many FIRs, like court cases, and he just stayed in his self-respect, and he said, it's God's work, it's God's task. And then he would just go off to, Hyderabad, and then he would just go off to Karachi, like he would just take off. It's like, leave that behind and, like water off a duck's back. And then when they also moved and came to Mount Abu, first they were in Dolpur House, and then again, they were asked to evacuate. And Baba said, no, write to them that we are doing great work and we are putting women in front, and then even through the beggary part. So I think what enabled him to have a strong sense of self is his connection with God, and it's God's work. So maybe you'd like to share your thoughts on that, about keeping God as your pillar of Swaman.
There's a very lovely little story I read today. Somebody sent it on WhatsApp and it's in Hindi. But it's a story of a man, 2 tall buildings, and there's a tightrope across, and the man is carrying his son on his shoulders, and he's walking across the tightrope, and everybody is absolutely in suspense. And he makes it to the end, and he comes down, and there's applause, and there's appreciation, and wonderful, wonderful. and they say, you know, amazing, we love you, we trust you, we believe you, and can you do that again? And he says, well, I can do it again, but you saw me do it with my son. Who is here who can give me their child to put on my shoulders, and I'll do the same thing with their child? The crowd became totally silent, and they said they believed in him, but they didn't trust him enough to be able to actually put that into practice in any external way. And so we say we believe in God, but how much do I totally trust him? And I'm ready to say, yes, I'll sacrifice my body consciousness for you, because I know what you're giving me is so much more valuable. And so you can believe in something, but you don't have to prove it. But if there's trust, yes, you can actually prove it. And so this state of Brahma Baba, where there was this total, absolute trust and faith that this is God, this is God's work, and I'm God's instrument. And so the combination of that, this is God, and I am God's child, I am God's instrument. And so to what extent do I trust myself in that way? Not only am I a child of God, I believe in God, I trust God, but do I also trust that I, as a child of God, also am able to claim all my rights from God of spiritual power, of all the virtues, of all the treasures that he's giving me? And if I can do that, then yes, I can follow in Baba's footsteps. And so not to think about my identity as anything related to this. I'm a jeweler, and so I know, or I'm now 60 years old, and so I've had a lifetime of experience and I know. No, he let go of that identity very fast. And just that identity of being the child of God. I am God's son. But all of us also, we are God's sons. Not even daughters, the sons, the soul, nothing else, no body. And in that stage of being a child of God, the son of God, that stage of being further an instrument for God, and you'll feel that, yes, God is making things happen very, very fast. We saw it in the Dadis, Dadi Janki, when she was in Pune, and she had this little tiny place, which was like part of a tenement building. And there were lots of other places that others had along that corridor. And in the balcony, she put up this big sign, Prajapita Brahma Kumari's Ishwari Vishwavidyalaya. And the journalist comes along and says, where is this Vidyalaya, Vishwavidyalaya University? And Dadi says, this is it. And the journalist came into this tiny little room. This is your university? And of course, that is intoxication and that faith and total trust. Of course, it's God who's teaching us, and this is the knowledge that God has given. So not just a theoretical thing, but practical demonstration of that trust and faith. And so to what extent do I have that? And can I develop that? Yes, the more I practice trusting Baba, the more I'll see the evidence, and it'll be there coming in front of me at all times.
Very nice. I can just see Dadi saying that.
Yeah.
And now, Jit, when if I give the example of Mama gave a lot of respect to Baba, and she would always, come first or earlier than Baba. But then there was one day that Baba came early, and then when Mama arrived, she entered that history hall from the back. And then Baba said, no, Mama, your seat is here. And she said, no, Baba, I'm late, so I should sit at the back. And in that way, they were being an example for the children. So I want to ask you, gentlemen, now in modern day, in our modern day, what are the examples of having self-respect? And again, Chakradhari, to quote Chakradhari Didi, she was sharing in the middle of Murli that nowadays students or teachers even come late in the hall and they want front seats when, you know, one should come early if they want the seat. And then, of course, somebody has to get up for them. And it's all that juggling of egos and self-respects. And so what, in your opinion, are the examples of having true self-respect?
Am I ready to praise another? Or is it that I just want to hear my own praise? But when I'm ready to praise somebody else and allow them to be in the spotlight, rather than thinking that, well, I'm a senior or I know more or whatever. So that's another way of giving respect. And again, you see it with Baba. Every single group that Baba's meeting, Baba's really boosting them. Like in this Murli, Baba's saying, those from Bihar are always in Bahar. And so Bahar, spring, and Bihar, an impoverished state. But Baba's saying, you're always in spring. Baba's really showing respect to them. And so can I do that? Can I find, out of a genuine sense of appreciation, can I see good in another and be able to praise them and help their self-esteem by commenting on that? Or am I thinking, well, today they're like this, tomorrow there'll be something else? You know how the human mind in Kali Yuga always finds something to give a critical comment about. The moment that my criticism stops and I start thinking that, yes, there are so many beautiful qualities in the other, that's giving that's giving respect to another. Or where I ask somebody what they think, rather than just thinking that I know best and I'm going to do it this way. But here are a few of us sitting together, and I actually ask another one, what do you think should be done? Again, not just because I'm a facilitator and so everybody should speak, but no, in a genuine way, I'm interested to hear what they have to say about something. So again, that's a demonstration of respect. And so waiting for somebody to come, we're supposed to be having a meal together maybe, and somebody is late, and I say, oh, well, never mind, we can start, they'll join us. Well, that's huge disrespect. And where I say, it's okay, we can wait a few minutes and they'll come. And maybe it's more than a few minutes, but I wait for them. And others who are with me see that, and they also wait for them. And so again, that's respect. So little things, but it's an indication of where I'm at and what I'm able to do for another. Or a meeting, like you talked about the story of the king in the court. Well, we're not with kings and courts at the present time, but we're about to have a meeting. And I say, well, it doesn't really matter if this one's late or they don't come, we can just start anyway. Or am I saying, well, let's just wait a few minutes. It's important that they arrive and then we'll begin. And so my day-to-day behavior can be consistently giving respect, and not just to somebody who's senior, but somebody who's my equal, somebody who's my junior. Can I do that for everyone that I live with and work with and serve with? So.
Actually, Jinman, it's interesting you say that, because also in the middle of the week, Baba said in the Murli that if a young one goes ahead, then the older ones have to give respect. And then I was thinking of you because you went ahead of many. And so did they give you respect, Sister Jayanti?
The Dadis always gave me a huge amount of love. And they were very happy when they saw somebody move forward, because they were stable in their own stage of dignity and self-respect. They didn't feel that I was snatching anything from them. They were giving respect because that's how they are. But yes, I received a huge amount of respect from all the Dadis, and also love.
And also Dadi would always want to hear from us. Remember when we were in small gatherings?
That's right. She was interested to know what was going on and what it is we would share. And she would appreciate it.
Okay, one more question before we move to the chat. Gentlemen, the balance or the connection between humility and self-respect, because sometimes I think it's false humility, or let's say false self-respect to be humble. So in your opinion, what is the good balance of humility and self-respect?
If you think about what's going on in the world today, it's a power struggle, it's an ego struggle, a struggle for control. And when I'm in that state of self-respect, I'm not controlling anyone. I'm not trying to seek power. I'm not trying to make things happen as I want them to happen. But yes, I'll do what Baba's asked me to do. I'll follow Srimad, and I know that the right things will happen. There's no issue of control or reaction if I lose control or somebody else takes control. All these issues of control come up because there's ego, or there's greed, possessiveness, or there's attachment. But as I've done that cleaning and I've come to the state where truly I recognize the pure goodness of that original beauty of the self, of the soul, then there's a natural state of self-respect, and I don't have to experiment and demonstrate it in any way. You know, I'm the one who has the highest role. I'm the one who is this or that or the other. None of that. I know my value, and I'm going to treat everyone else with respect, through my humility.
Okay, thank you. Okay, would it be helpful to know the vidhi to achieve mastery over the senses? Actually, two people have asked this, gentleman, about how you also have mastery over the senses.
It's a deep inner practice of soul consciousness, because how can I gain mastery over my eyes? Where are my eyes going? What are my eyes seeing? Are my eyes distracting my mind? It's when I practice that inner stage and feel I, the soul, then what I'm doing, when I look out through my eyes, I'm sharing that vision of soul consciousness with others. I'm seeing them as souls. I'm not taking note of the clothes they wear, the hairstyle they have, the jewelry they have or they don't. Those things aren't registering. The soul is seeing the soul. And so that state of mastery of soul consciousness comes through practice, so that my eyes see that which is useful and that which is going to be beneficial. My ears, again, you know, I hear my name, and even there in that corner, but I pick it up, and then I'm so curious about it. I go to them and I say, what were you saying about me? And maybe it's good, maybe it's not, but I'm so curious about it. But if I needed to, it would come to my attention. It's interesting how, you know, there's this idea of losing out nowadays, you know, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is. I don't even know the names of all these things, but a person feels, I've got to know this, I've got to know this, I've got to know this. But no, a different attitude is, Baba is telling me everything that I need to know. If there is more information that needs to come to me, it will come to me, not maybe from here, but from here or there, that it's going to come to me. I don't need to go chasing after it, and I don't need to waste my time thinking about it. So knowing that Baba's in charge, Baba's the benefactor, Baba knows what's best for me, it'll come to me. And my eyes, my ears behave, my tongue. Now, two things for the tongue. Sometimes we say something quickly and wish we could have brought it back, but the arrow has left the bow and it's hit the target, and maybe it's a good target, maybe it's a target of somebody's heart and it's crushed them and it's created a huge problem and I can't take it back. It's shot, it's gone. And so that mastery, let me think before I speak. I know what the outcome is going to be if I say certain things. I know it, I've experienced it before. I know human nature. So today, I'm going to practice being in charge of my tongue and using my tongue only when I need to and in the right way. Taste. And this is an issue that comes up very often. Christmas is coming, there's going to be lots of goodies around. And so to what extent do I have that discipline, that mastery over my tongue? Or am I going to be tempted every day by this thing, that thing, and the other thing? So whether it's Diwali, whether it's Eid, whether it's Hanukkah has just started today, and so Christmas is coming. All the festivals have lots of goodies connected with them. But do I have that discipline? It's being aware. Once you're aware of being the soul, and you also begin to notice your own habits, what are the habits that distract me? What are the things that pull me away from that state of soul consciousness or that state of inner contentment and peace? Yes, I know if I go out shopping with this individual, she'll take me to all the stores where I'll see things that I really don't need. But the influence of company, and I'll probably start buying X, Y, Z when I didn't really need to. And so let me choose other company who's not going to take me into all these designer stores, but is going to take me for a walk. That's going to be a chance to breathe fresh air and get my muscles going in the right way. So we always have choices. We get to know ourselves. So let me make the right choices so that I regain mastery over my physical senses. And then, of course, there's the inner faculties, and that also is the discipline. That state of soul consciousness and letting go of body consciousness, it's that state where my mind is not racing. It's something to experiment with. How do I know that I'm soul conscious? My mind will be peaceful. My mind will be content. My mind will be in charge rather than thoughts take over. It'll be I, the soul, aware of what's going on in my mind, taking charge, and no distractions of attachments or desires or possessiveness or greed or anything.
It's funny you say that, Genuine, because we've just had the White Friday here and then all the sales. So I'm sure people were tempted. Okay, one last question. I think it's a good one to end with. Is it Baba's role to be Dharamraj along with the 8, or is Dharamraj's role along with Baba? And I think the good part about this question is, can we prepare for this scene? And if so, how is it possible?
Dadi used to say, make Dharamraj your friend, which means start communicating with Dharamraj right now. So morning time is the mother, the father, then it's the teacher, then through the day, it's the friend and the Satguru. But at night, show your account, your balance to Dharamraj, and do that with honesty. And if today I'm clearing my account every day, there's no build-up. And so I don't need to be afraid to face Dharamraj at the end. And what Baba said is that it'll be Shiv Baba and Brahma Baba. Today it was very, very explicit. But also Baba's talked about the tribunal, and so the 8 jewels. Because I'm thinking, where today Baba said, it'll be Shiv Baba speaking through Brahma Baba, and Baba will tell you, I taught you so much, and yet you didn't listen. And all these souls have come after Sakhar Baba, practically every single one. And so who are the ones who they're going to see? Yes, you heard Shiv Baba's Murlis through Brahma Baba. You heard Shiv Baba Bab Dada speak through Dadi Gulzar. So Dadi Gulzar, and that image will be there in front of you, one of the 8 jewels, but also all the sustenance we've had from all the other Dadis. And so that scene in which that vision of whatever it is will come in front of me, of what it is I've done that needs to be settled now, but also that these are the individuals who gave you that love, that sustenance, that wisdom, that guidance, and I still didn't listen. So definitely there's a role for the tribunal, and it's the role of the 8 jewels specifically.
Very interesting, thank you. Gentlemen, we'll just take one more minute to show one video of somebody who has a lot of self-respect, and then we will lead into meditation. So the video is coming. I'm sure some of you have seen this before, but it's a good reminder.
Very lovely.
So yeah, gentlemen, if you think you're a speck in the world and you can't do anything, I think we have to think twice, because we are not a speck, but we are a node in the network, and we are connected to so many, and we can really ripple out. So
Right.
Thank you so much for today. Thank you, everyone. And today we'll end with a very nice meditation commentary. And it's by Nile Phoenix, and I think it's new, and all of you can go to the link in the YouTube. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sister Jayanti. Om Shanti.
Thank you. Om Shanti.
Turns humans into angels. Swim in the lake of love, and anger will not find you. The fragrance of love is on your face. I listen to the songs of love from your heart. Divine love brings such happiness. Dance in happiness and move forward. Love is a power that makes you forget, invites forgiveness. Your relationship with the past becomes tender. Tenderness brings easy transformation, peace, a loving heart of kindness. Love is a canopy of protection. Remain constantly safe.